Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and this is your coronavirus tech news for Wednesday, May 13th of 2020. And we've got some really interesting things going on, and we are going to start with the New York Times, because apparently cell phone data analyzed by the New York Times reportedly shows that on average, 25 million more Americans left their homes each day last week compared to the preceding 6 weeks. The average share of people staying home basically was just over 36%, which is said by researchers to be a drop of over 7% from the average during the peak period for sheltering in place, meaning Americans are emerging from their homes. Now, this basically doesn't come as a surprise because this surge came as more than half of U.S. states started to reopen their economies or began making plans to do so, even though health experts have repeatedly warned that the reopenings would likely cause a fresh spike of infections and obviously death by virtue of that. Now, the Times reports reports the share of people staying at home last week dropped in nearly every part of the nation, in some places by nearly 11 percentage points. So I have to imagine the more urban areas like New York, Chicago, LA, etc. are going to be much more locked down, but the rest of the country that has a very low infection rate, and I live here in Chicago and a lot of Illinois is farm country, I'm sure that they're going to be resuming their normal lives a lot sooner than others. But I think this is very interesting. And I also think that, by virtue of this, as we track this through cell phones, because obviously if I'm going out, I'm probably going to have my cell phone with me, whether it's for a walk, a drive, to go to work or the store. And we are seeing that data aggregated from all of our carriers and basically used to see and track us and to see what we're doing. So I think that's very interesting, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. But we're not done. The next one is coming from the Wall Street Journal, and that is entitled AI Home Fitness Machines Push You Past Your Limits. Now, obviously, part of the issue with this lockdown here is that for many, they can't get to the gym. Many people need that trainer or instructor, the motivation that they bring when they are going to that spinning class or yoga or, whatever you're using a trainer or instructor for. Now, part of the thing with courses like this is that these trainers and instructors are perpetually upping your performance. So, you ran a mile yesterday, well, maybe it's going to be 1.2 miles today and 1.3 tomorrow, and on and on and on. So what happens then when you don't have access to that instructor that will continuously push you to perform better? AI, artificial intelligence. That's what happens. And so many people are now buying their own exercise equipment because they can't get to the gym, and the manufacturers are rushing to install basically artificial intelligence into this equipment so that it will track you, obviously, in your various health ways, heartbeat and oxygen and all that, but also push you to perform better, basically from the comfort of your own home. And so then the question is, would you let an AI drill sergeant, if you will, actually push you around in this way? Or do you prefer a human? Would you be able to live, let's say, with an AI drill instructor or something that pushes you perpetually and then not go back, which may actually save you a little money? And by virtue of that, could this be the end of spinning classes and all of that, as we are all just comfortable now, working with that AI at home? Or will it drastically reduce the population of those that want to go? Or is there a more social aspect to this as well when you go to the gym? I'd be curious to know your thoughts on that. But artificial intelligence is basically going to be, I think, running our lives in many different ways. And finally, this is coming from the AFP by way of Yahoo News, and I thought this was actually fascinating and a little disturbing. Now, in China, who was obviously the epicenter, for this infection out of Wuhan, China, they now have some interesting things going on. And in China, to enter many offices, restaurants, parks, or malls, people must show their status on an app that determines whether they are a coronavirus threat. Now, if you have this app and you're going to walk into your favorite restaurant or whatever, a green light lets you go anywhere, lets you in anywhere. A yellow light could send you home into home confinement, and a red light basically throws you into a strict 2-week quarantine at a hotel, I would assume supplied by the Chinese government. Now, Chinese citizens, interestingly enough, seem okay with this. They seem fine with this. They think it's for the greater good, at least when they are talking to reporters. And to quote Deborah Liu, who is 30 years old in Shanghai, she said, and I quote, "We are in a special context with this epidemic, so divulging my movements doesn't bother me. Human life is more important." And I find that to be absolutely interesting, especially because China is one of the largest surveillance states, if not the largest surveillance state on the planet. And controversial use of this technology has raised alarms in Europe, in countries like Britain, France, and Switzerland that looked into launching their own apps to trace the infection, because contact tracing is one of those things that a lot of scientists say if we can track this, then we can start looking at, let's say, large pockets of a geographical population, let's say here in the United States where we've got a lot of space, or Russia who's got a ton of space, to see if we can start opening up aspects of the economy where we have no coronavirus infections or are extremely low prone to it. But use of this has basically mushroomed across China, and so the government is keeping a close eye on the population and is collecting troves of personal data, which is pretty much every day of the week for China before and after the coronavirus, so definitely during it as well. So I think that's interesting. Would you be okay with this in your own country, tracking you, knowing that a red light could possibly mean you ain't going anywhere for 2 weeks? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And this has been your coronavirus tech news of the day. And I hope everybody is healthy and safe. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.